Trust Story 1. The Snowstorm. The day before, we had been warned that the snow would fall all night and all the next day. They said it would cover the driveways and alleys, the fields and crossroads, and that it would be better to stay home where it's safe. We agreed. The whole neighborhood and the whole town. Everyone supported that decision. Today, the snowstorm reached us. I was lying in bed, basking in the deep silence of the early morning, thinking about the snow that had covered the ground like a thick blanket, lying on the bare branches of the trees, on the roof above my head, and on everything you could possibly imagine. I hadn't moved yet after waking up, just felt how my arms were warm and relaxed under the blanket, and thought about how good it was that today was a snow day, and how wonderful it was to know this since last night. I had slept soundly and woke up with no dreams in mind, feeling that today everything would start fresh. I slipped my feet into the slippers, waiting by the bed, pulled on a long, thick sweater, and walked to the window. Slowly moved the curtain aside, and enjoyed the little spark of anticipation in my stomach as I looked at the snow-covered ground. It had snowed like this before. I'd seen it 1,000 times, living through the same moment since childhood. Standing in pajamas, nose pressed against the cold window pane the morning after a heavy snowfall. Yet to this day it still fills me with wonder. The morning light was faint, casting long shadows across the drifts, catching the still falling flakes in their graceful flight, and revealing the crisp, untouched surface of the snow covering the ground near my old farmhouse. I lingered there for a moment, just watching the snow fall, cupping my hands around me as though to block out the cold beyond the glass. I savored this gift from Mother Nature. As a child, snow days meant excitement and running back and forth, with cups of hot chocolate from the warm kitchen. For adults, such days bring relief. You are forced to relax. No one expects anything from you. In a busy world that sometimes moves too fast, this pause is a perfect remedy. The day before, I had stocked up on everything I needed: a pound of fresh coffee beans, a long loaf of bread for sandwiches and toast, a bag of rolls and muffins, a sack of winter oranges and grapefruits. In the fridge stood a pitcher of fresh juice and a huge pile of green vegetables, and in the pantry neat rows of home-canned tomatoes and pickles, jars of beans, bags of rice, packages of crackers and pasta. I looked out the kitchen window and told the snow, "Keep falling. I've got enough for weeks." I started brewing coffee, rummaged through the muffins, broke off a corner of one, and ate it. If you're going to do this, I thought, you have to do it right. So I pulled out the waffle iron from the cupboard. After all, that was part of the joy of a snow day. At last there's time to do what you normally wouldn't, and no reason to avoid it. I poured myself a cup of coffee, took the ingredients off the shelves, and began mixing and whisking them, heating the waffle iron. I set the table with my favorite plate, napkin, and fork. A memory flashed through my mind of what my aunt used to do when we were little. She had a special plate, painted gold in an old-fashioned style and matching nothing else in her kitchen. And if you had done well on an exam, or it was your birthday, or you'd had a bad day and just needed to feel special and cared for, she would place that plate at your seat. When you sat down, you felt a little taller and felt her warm hand on your shoulder. And dinner became pure joy. That memory warmed me as I poured the batter into the hot waffle iron. It sizzled, filling the kitchen with aroma, and I smiled. Pancakes and waffles always follow the rule of 3. Undercook the first, burn the second, and the third will be perfect. When the plate was full, I sat with a cup of fresh coffee and a warmed pitcher of maple syrup, enjoying breakfast while watching the snowfall. I peeled an orange and slowly ate the slices between sips, setting the peel aside, thinking that later I would toss it into a simmering pot with cinnamon sticks, vanilla, and a couple of cloves. I'd let it simmer all day, filling the house with a sweet scent and softening the dry air with steam. I rinsed the plate, tidied up the kitchen, and wandered from window to window, looking out at the street. The night before, I had brought in firewood and laid it in the fireplace. Now it was ready to give me warmth. I struck a long match and held it to the paper and kindling, watching as it caught fire. I added a few crumpled newspapers to the flames and sat crouched by the hearth for a couple of minutes until my face and fingers were warm. By now the wind was blowing, and I watched as tiny whirling spirals of snow appeared and vanished in the air. Maybe later I'd get ready and take a long walk across the fields and woods, then reward myself with a cup of something hot. But for now, I wasn't planning to leave my cozy spot. I imagined spreading out a puzzle on the table and working on it with a movie playing in the background, or reading for hours, or soaking in a hot bath until my fingertips wrinkled. But first, full from breakfast and warmed by the fire, I stretched out on the couch, covered my legs with a warm blanket, and felt that the best thing to do was to close my eyes, listen to the crackling of the logs, and drift off into a long winter's sleep. Sweet dreams.